tonight on Elon Local News.
It's very emotional for me because it has been such a huge part of my professional but also my personal life.
End of an era. SGA is saying farewell to their advisor aide at the end of this term.
Book bans are back, where you can find titles that may soon be disappearing from some shelves.
Going for the gold. 2 Elon alumni are working to achieve their dreams as an athlete and behind the scenes.
All that and more.
Elon Local News starts now.
Live from the Jane and Brian Williams studio at Elon University School of Communications, you're watching Elon Local News.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Chloe Franklin.
And I'm Naomi Washington. We begin this evening with an ENN alert. The university announced today Hillary Corna is set to deliver the undergraduate commencement address in May. Corna graduated Elon in 2007. In 2013, the university awarded her a Top 10 Under 10 award for her book, One White Face. Published in 2011, the book tells Corna's story of buying a one-way plane ticket to Singapore after graduation to work for Toyota. Because of that experience, she hopes to create a more human-centric business model with an emphasis on mental health. She is set to publish her second book, Unprofessional, a manifesto, later this year, named after her podcast. President Book said in a statement to ENN, an entrepreneur, innovator, and global citizen, Hillary Corna is a shining example of an Elon alumna who leveraged her experiences at Elon to craft a life and career based on her passions and the world's needs. This year, there will be only 2 undergraduate graduation ceremonies, both taking place at Schar Center on May 20th. The business and communication schools will both walk at 9 a.m., while the School of Education and the Elon College of Arts and Sciences will do so at 2 p.m.
According to NCDHHS, over 4,000 cases were reported in North Carolina today, compared to over 9,000 cases yesterday. No new cases were reported in Alamance County yesterday, but there were 44 active cases on Elon's campus as of today.
Just 1 week after Elon's COVID-19 booster deadline, nearly 97% of students are compliant. But Dean of Students Jenna Patterson says compliant also includes students with exemptions and not just deferrals. But just students who have not received their booster dose. Patterson says one reason a student may be granted a deferral includes recently having COVID.
We think, though, that many of those students, at least what they've communicated with us, is as soon as I'm not symptomatic, or as soon as I'm, sure that I'm kind of got my sea legs back, then they're going to go ahead and get it, because if not, they have to test until they do.
As of Friday, there are 303 exemptions among the 97% of students who are considered compliant, as well as the 6% who have deferrals.
I can tell you so exemptions are about 4%, right now deferrals are about 6.5%. But some of those exemptions, most of those exemptions are folks that were already exempted in the fall. So if they got a medical or religious exemption from the primary series, they didn't have to reapply for an exemption. Some of that 4% is the same 3.5% or 4% you saw in the fall with the primary series.
Patterson says the booster requirement is one of many factors the university will use to determine Healthy Elon's guidance moving forward this semester.
Dean of Students Jenna Patterson announced she will be stepping down from her position as advisor to the Student Government Association. The move will come at the end of the term next month. Current and past members of SGA were surprised at the announcement. 2018 graduate Spencer Wagner was a class senator and executive vice president. He says he's grateful for her influence during his time at Elon.
Everybody deserves that same amount of leadership and influence and care that Dean Pete gives for students, as across the board, and those in SGA. I think she holds especially close to her heart.
Dean Patterson says she reached out to alumni before making the announcement so they wouldn't be surprised. She says she's still wrestling with her decision.
Being the SGA advisor aside, you learn a lot as someone who cares about what's on students' minds and in their hearts. That I have 19 years worth of relationships that I've developed with those senators and those execs. And that is just a gift that I will never take for granted.
We'll have more on Dean Patterson's 19 years with SGA in this week's Pendulum and an exclusive with her at the end of the term.
Elon Student Government Association is updating the student handbook this week following a meeting where not a single student attended. ENN spoke with many students who say they are not even aware of the current contents of the student handbook.
We generally, I'm guessing it covers all the policies that we have to follow, but you get those in a lot of other places too.
Maybe making it more integrated with the student admission process, but like, hey, you have to read this and maybe answer a couple questions about what you read, just that way people can understand the policies better.
I think a lot of people don't read it just because it's like longer, I guess, so maybe just shortening things and making it like concise.
Jenna Patterson says changing the handbook was meant to be a more open process this year.
This is not a radically new process, but it allows us to get some student perspectives and questions.
SGA will formally submit their recommended changes to the Office of Student Involvement tomorrow after their meeting.
The U.S. saw a national gain of 467,000 jobs in January despite the Omicron surge. But closer to home, nearly 75% of North Carolina counties still have fewer people working than before the pandemic began. The Greensboro-High Point area specifically is still more than 14,000 jobs below where it was before the pandemic. According to the North Carolina Budget Tax Center, half of the state's counties have fewer people working than before the economic collapse of 2008. North Carolina Budget Research Manager Patrick Mahue says it's important to tread lightly when interpreting too much about month-to-month changes.
There are different causes, and so it's a little bit of an apples to oranges comparison. But at this point in the Great Recession, North Carolina was still losing jobs. We hadn't even started to recover. This time around, for a variety of reasons, the magnitude of the federal response has been much more robust. And that absolutely not only kept people in their homes and kept food on the table and kept the lights on, but it also contributed to a much faster economic recovery.
Books outlining race, gender, and sexuality are being banned in record numbers. Once all-time classics you may have read in school, like To Kill a Mockingbird, The Catcher in the Rye, and The Great Gatsby, are just a few. As book bans sweep the nation, one local used bookstore feels the impact. Ian Baltudis, owner of Persnickety Books in Burlington, says he notices when a book is banned, usually right before it flies off the shelves.
When a book gets banned and shows up in the news and people hear about it, they all of a sudden take notice and ask, well, why was this book banned? And a lot of people will reach out and try to get a copy because they want to read it. They want to see what in it was so controversial that somebody would think about putting it on a banned books list.
From The Hunger Games to Token of the Book Thief and Ernest Hemingway, Persnickety has many banned titles on the shelves. Baltudis says the increasing amount of book bans worry him as both an entrepreneur and a reader.
And the danger is when we forget about that. When we forget about the atrocities that humans have been able to create, the hatred that humans have had towards each other. And so making sure that literature like that is still available helps us all widen our perspective and have that hindsight.
To read more about book bans, visit our website, elonnewsnetwork.com. After the break, we hear from two alumni involved with this year's Winter Games in Beijing.
No more winter weather. We'll have how to take care of your car ahead.
Here's to the things that can keep us safe. Those we use all the time with hardly a thought. Those that are silently standing by to save our lives. And now, those that we carry with us everywhere we go. Many mobile devices will now bring you wireless emergency alerts, real-time information directly from local sources you know and trust. With the unique sound and vibration, you'll be in the know wherever you are.
They said I couldn't dream. Called me a piece of trash and swore that's all I'd ever be. Said a bottle couldn't see the ocean. give up. Go back to the dumpster. But I didn't listen. I made my way. And now, I am what I've always wanted to be.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. And as soon as I start to make my breakfast, Hamilton is right there. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. I mean, look at this little face. How could you not love him?
What do you think you're doing, Kevin?
Was just gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
Like hearing voices?
Like your text-to-emoji ratio?
Oh man, the selfies. Selfie, nailed it.
We all have warning signs that let us know that we're probably not okay to drive. Mine is pretending to be your subconscious.
Craig, come on man, let's split a ride home.
The Winter Olympics are now underway in Beijing, but do Americans have the same enthusiasm they once did? The opening ceremony was the least viewed in Olympic history, with just 16 million tuning into NBC and their streaming services. According to the NBC Sports, viewership has fallen 43% from the 2018 Winter Games in Pyeongchang. Ratings for the opening ceremony in Tokyo last summer were down 36% compared to 2016. But alumni are well represented in this year's games. I spoke to two who are behind the scenes. For Elon alum Ellie Whittington, reporting for the Olympics was a childhood dream. She worked the Summer Olympics in Tokyo and covers the Beijing Olympics right now.
Sometimes I have to pinch myself and think, like, at 25 years old, I've worked 2 Olympic Games.
She works on the social media team at the NBC Sports headquarters in Connecticut, reporting on the winter sports, including the Super Bowl. While Whittington is behind the scenes covering the games, another alum is practicing in preparation for the podium. Lauren Brzezowski is on the USA Olympic bobsled development team, hoping to make it to Milan in 2026.
What I'm most looking forward to is trying to just get on a podium. Like, I want to get on a podium, I want to get a medal, I want to get a trophy, I feel like that's when I'll know like I made it, and I really want to become like a big name in this sport.
She trains with her teammates every day and says the biggest challenge is covering the expenses since bobsledding is not a government-funded sport. But Brzezowski is not the only one looking ahead to the future.
You know, this isn't the top. This isn't exactly where I want to be. I want to keep going and keep growing. Eventually, I hope to be live at an Olympic Games.
The Winter Olympics end February 20th, but you can read more about our alumni and their experiences on our website, elonnewsnetwork.com. For a live look at the weather ahead, our Annemarie Bonner is out on Citroen Plaza with your Phoenix 5-day forecast.
Naomi and Chloe, as you can see behind me, it is still raining quite a bit out here as it has been throughout the day. But lucky for us, it's looking like we are going to see some sunshine throughout the week. Let's take a look at that Phoenix 5-day forecast. Starting off with tomorrow, it's going to be a high of 50 degrees with a low of 25, so slightly warmer than today. And as we head in throughout the week, we will have temperatures hopefully in the 60s with some sunshine. The highest temperature might be 66 degrees on Saturday, so that's perfect weekend weather for whatever you have planned. And now that the winter weather is gone, I went just a few minutes down the road and to Wilson Tire Pros and Automotive, where owner Stephen Moss talked to us about how to make sure your tires are safe and ready for the road.
Hit the road in dry conditions, it's best to give your tires a check. All the salt on the roadways from winter weather can cause cracks in the tires. Moss says neglecting your tires can have a lasting impact.
You could hydroplane, slide, and you lose control. And the biggest mistake people make when that happens and they don't realize it is that our human nature reaction is to lock the brake, hit the brakes. When we lock our brakes, The vehicle is going wherever it is pointed when we lock the brakes. At that point, the steering wheel is irrelevant.
Moss showed us how to check your tire's tread depth, or rather how effective your tire will be. Start by taking a penny with Lincoln's head facing down. Stick it inside your tire, and as you can see here, I don't see the tip of Lincoln's head, so that means my tire is ready for the road. But if you see the tip of the penny, that's a sign you need to get your tire replaced immediately.
It's also important to check the year your tires were made.
But what's important are the last 4 digits, and they'll always be numerical. And those 4 digits, the first 2 are the week, and the last 2 are the year. So this tire was made the 23rd week of 2018, so that number is 2318. So we know that this tire is just under 4 years old.
As you're driving, Moss says any unusual sounds or any unusual vibrations in your car may come from your tires.
If you're planning to take your car to an automotive shop and have a mechanic look at it, it might be best to ask for a full inspection as well, just to make sure everything is ready for the road.
Annemarie Bonner live on Citroen Plaza with your 5-day. Thank you so much.
In honor of Black History Month, the School of Health Sciences Student Diversity Committee is focusing on education about health care inequality. Class of 2022 cohort chair for the committee, Yoon Jung, says student-led committees are important because students are learning to recognize existing biases before they enter the workforce.
If we don't have the event, we don't have the committee, we don't have the mission, we don't really have a way to really synthesize the challenge we are facing as a community and also as students.
The Student Diversity Committee is hosting a 1-hour event called Diversity next Tuesday that will discuss racial biases in research. More information on the event is on our website, elonnewsnetwork.com.
Ellie Dent's Bathed in Doubt art exhibition opened tonight in Arts West with an artist talk and opening reception held earlier this evening. Dent is an Atlanta-based artist working with paintings and sculptures. Her art reflects a universal feelings and experiences in the human body and today's health industry. The exhibition is set to run from today to March 10th.
Up next, both basketball teams had a big weekend, and they're crediting the fans with their success.
Women's lacrosse is on the hunt for a national championship, and their season begins this week. We'll have more after the break.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you help me with this? My new dad teaches me all kinds of stuff.
Sure.
He helps me with homework.
That would be 3.6795.
Thanks.
Yep.
He helps me with my decision making.
I wouldn't use this one. Ever.
And he's even teaching me how to drive.
And that's why cars have bumpers.
I'm learning so much.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are.
Doesn't see race. Love is love.
Hey, you.
Yeah, you. Getting that college education, what are you gonna do? Graduate and take some office job? Be like everybody else?
Or will you dare do something different?
Like, be a teacher. You could be my teacher. You got the skills.
The smarts?
Yes, you. You could be the teacher I never forget.
That'd be cool.
Does that corporate job even have recess? What are you gonna make of yourself?
What are you gonna make of me?
Bye-bye.
Hi. Hoping for a crisp breeze to help keep you alert. Oh, he took a sip of water too. That'll probably help.
You were probably going to turn down the radio too, so you could focus, right?
Probably okay isn't okay.
Right?
If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
I think the water line is what really drove it home. I blew on him.
Spring sports are on the horizon, but winter sports continue through February with both basketball teams finishing their conference seasons. Joining us now to weigh in on the latest with the Phoenix is ENN Sports Director Jacob Kisamore. Jacob, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, for sure. So I've attended some of the basketball games. It's always a good time. So what can you tell us about what we've seen lately?
Yeah, it was a busy week for Elon's men's basketball team with 2 home games in 3 days. Over 2,400 fans attended the men's basketball win over UNC Wilmington on Thursday, the largest home crowd to ever see an Elon win. Head coach Mike Schrage discussed the impact of the fans after the game.
But our students, if they can keep showing up like that, means the world to us. It makes a difference in the game. It gets our guys so excited. Our guys are so deserving and working hard to get that support. It was awesome.
Sophomore guard Darius Burford continued his strong play in the team's 2 games last week. He scored a career-high 27 points in Thursday's win over UNCW and 14 in the team's loss to Charleston on Saturday. Burford is the team's leading scorer this season and said his versatility has led to his success.
When I get in, I want to make sure I'm making an impact in any way possible. No matter if that's defense, no matter if that's getting rebounds, no matter if that's assisting, playmaking for my team, making shots easier, or scoring the ball for myself. I just want to make an impact on the game to help us win. Anything to make us win, that's the type of player I am.
The men's team currently has a 7-17 record this season and is tied for 8th in the CAA standings.
So I know just a little bit from going, I mean, that record isn't great, and it's a, what do you think about that? I know sometimes I notice maybe closing the game out they struggle with a little bit.
Yeah, an interesting fact too with the men's basketball team this year, they've really not been too bad at home. They're 7-4, but they're 0-13 in games away from Shar Center, which is a fascinating statistic, something to watch going forward as they close out the final month of their season.
Of course, and I know we have lacrosse coming up this week, so what can you tell us about that? Absolutely.
Well, this weekend, lacrosse gears up for their season opener against the University of Virginia. The team went 9-3 last year and will play 16 games this season. Head coach Josh Hexter says he's excited for the Phoenix to play this weekend.
We don't necessarily concern ourselves with the name on the chest of who we're playing. We concern ourselves with competing at the highest level possible that we can compete at. And that's why we do enjoy playing some of the top teams in the country, because win or lose, it's going to raise your level one way or the other. And the best athletes want to do that.
Hexter says the goal this season is to win the national championship, something the team has never done before.
Another goal is to win the CAA championship. Okay, and those are the outcomes that we talk about, but really the goal every day is to embrace our competitive drive and try to get better every day. Try to be the best version of yourself every day, and try to satisfy that curiosity that we have out in the field, and to really give each other our best every day.
The Phoenix opened the season with 5 home games, 3 of which are against teams who were ranked in the top 25 last season.
So Jacob, what do we have to look forward to for the rest of the week?
Sure. Not only are winter and spring sports preparing to be in full swing, junior men's basketball guard Hunter McIntosh is 7 points away from breaking 1,000 career points at Elon. He'll have his opportunity to do so at James Madison University this Thursday at 7 p.m. Women's lacrosse is set to take on the University of Virginia in its first game of the season at home Friday at 4 p.m. And women's basketball is set for a matchup against UNC Wilmington Friday at 7 p.m.
Well, Jacob, thank you so much for joining us. Live coverage from those games and more can be found on our Sports ENN Twitter on our website, elonnewsnetwork.com.
Super Bowl Sunday is 6 days away, and if you're shopping for your party this week, you may want to budget a little extra for those groceries. Wells Fargo estimates that a typical Super Bowl menu will run 8 to 14% higher this year in terms of cost. Potato chip prices are still reasonably priced, with the product only seeing a 1% increase. That said, many companies are instituting shrinkflation, where they are limiting the quantity you are getting for your buck. But chips do need dip, and if you're looking to have salsa, prices are at an all-time high. The 6% price increase is related to increased labor and shipping costs. Meat and seafood costs are still at an all-time high due to the number of supply chain issues, and prepared chicken wing costs are up 26%. The 2-liter bottles of soda are 12% more, but they're cheaper than buying a soda in a can. This year's game comes with a bigger price tag than previous ones, and Wells Fargo says cooking at home with friends is the most economical option for a party this year. Let us know who you're rooting for this weekend. Share your thoughts and pictures and highlights on social media with us at elonnewsnetwork.com.
A Burlington man is passing along a prized possession. What that is and more after this.
So there you are, shuffling through a stack of resumes, and you come to mine. This is it. First impression, my way in. But can my resume show you how I truly stand out? Like that I was studying, going to night school while working 2 jobs just to help my parents pay for groceries. Or being the first one to always step up. No, that's something you just can't put on paper. Look beyond the resume and discover new ways to develop great talent that is dedicated, hardworking, and determined like me.
Open road, here comes the Heffley family.
Whether it's a short trip or a long haul.
Estimated time, 47 hours.
They will beg.
You're hungry? I'm happy to provide.
They will plead.
Deep fried butter on a stick.
But whatever you do, don't wimp out.
Now you're talking.
Make them buckle up.
He can't hurt.
Remember, safety first. Cheese curls, second.
Are you orange?
Jordan knows he shouldn't eat this entire bowl of nachos, but tonight he's earned that right. Because a few hours ago, in the middle of happy hour, he recognized a sign. Not from the gods or a bolt of lightning, but from a double heart, a kissy face, and a 4th ha in ha ha ha. That's when Jordan knew he was buzzed. So when it was time to go, he got a ride home instead of driving. Be a legend like Jordan. Recognize your buzzed warning signs and get a ride home. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Finally tonight, a classic cartoon car just sold in Burlington for $10,000. Our Ellis Chandler is on the case of solving who is the new owner of the mystery van.
Kevin Allen Coombs collects and fixes up cars, but a purchase he made in 2003 is the one that has him getting stopped for pictures every time he takes it out.
Don't expect it to be a 5 to 10 minute trip, because even like going to Walmart just to pick up a bottle of water is going to take you a couple hours to get out of the parking lot.
It's a replica of the iconic van from the CBS show Scooby-Doo, and Coombs is better known as Shaggy to his family and friends because of his beard and how he dressed. He bought the van as a project to keep his mind occupied. Shaggy served 18 months in Iraq and Kuwait and came back with PTSD. Now, he's selling the van because of his chronic illnesses, but it's got almost 20 years of memories made in it.
When I bought the van, my daughters would ride my lap and drive. I would run the gas and the clutch and everything, but they would drive the van, and we'd run around in that circle driveway all day long.
To read more on this story, visit our website, elonnewsnetwork.com.
Well, that's all the news we have for you this evening. Thanks again for watching Elon Local News.
Keep up with us on social media at Elon News Network.
And follow us on elonnewsnetwork.com for more updates.
Have a great night, Elon.